Yeah, no, that's a bad loss. Tough loss. Episode 6010. Oh, no. 6010. Episode 610. Let's get into it. Knicks Magic. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You are listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. Let's get to it.
Anthony for three. That one goes down, and the game is tied.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
The Yankees are champions of baseball.
Shaking and baking right here on the neophyte.
Trying to close the show.
She was doing a great job of feeding that. It's over.
Don't you regret not coming to the Knicks? Don't you regret not coming to the Knicks?
Game over. World Series over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
Yep. You go through good stretches in sports and bad stretches. And not talking about the Knicks, I'm talking about me personally. Man, last night I bet on the and I guess this is what I get for being a Giants fan and betting on Dallas. And I bet the spread last night, and they ended up getting smacked. And then today I decided to bet the Philadelphia spread, and they're down 16-9 with a couple minutes left in the third quarter. So it's what I get as a Giants fan betting for the enemy 2 times in a row. Yeah. So, and then on top of that, the Knicks are not playing good basketball. The Knicks lost 2 of 3 after a tough loss today. Episode 610. We're going to talk about it. We're going to dive right in. Yeah, they lost 98-94 today at Madison Square Garden against the Magic. First and foremost, happy MLK Day to everybody. Always love watching the Knicks on MLK Day. It's always fun to watch. I don't know. It's got a similar vibe. Like that special feeling when you watch the Knicks on Christmas. I get the same happy feeling. I just like to watch the Knicks on MLK Day, and Clyde Frazier always does a wonderful job with his monologue pregame, and they always talk during the game. Breed and Clyde talk about some important things that Dr. King did. So I always thought that was fun, awesome. It's important. So happy MLK Day to everybody. But the Knicks unfortunately take a tough loss, bad one, 98-94. Coming into this game, Orlando didn't have Franz Wagner and Gary Harris Jr. And the Knicks, once again, although he tried to test it out in game time, in pregame, didn't have Jalen Brunson. And that's something I'm a little bit concerned about now. The Knicks got off to a pretty good start in this game. OG Anunoby was hot early on. There was a point where the Knicks made about 5 shots in a row. 15-8 run like that to begin the game, something like that. Orlando goes on the run of a run of their own. And all of a sudden it's 24-24 after one quarter. Second quarter comes, the bench checks in, and, they're lethargic. There's no pop. Starters check back in a little bit later. The Knicks get a little bit better. Ihart's finding guys on cuts. Randall gets his one make of the half. Deuce McBride, though, at the end of the half, a pretty bad foul on a 3-point attempt. And the Knicks go into the half up just 2 points, 52-50 against the Magic. Third quarter, the Knicks were in rhythm in the third. A lot of 3-point makes from Randall, a couple from Dante. Deuce and Grimes had it going from there. Grimes had a big one at the time. Defense tightened up top, but Orlando fought back again, and it was 78-73 Knicks enter in the fourth. So it was still a tight game. And then they fell apart in the fourth. The bench, again, had no pop early in the fourth quarter. Josh Hart was just killing half-court offense. Randall and Dante choke at the free throw line. Randall goes 0 of 2. Dante goes 1 of 2. Game falls apart after that. Knicks just trading baskets when they can't afford to trade baskets at that point, and all of a sudden the slim lead they had disappeared, and then Orlando started building off it. Randall took that hero three-point attempt that he clanked off the backboard. Ugly. And the Knicks would lose, again, 98-94 to the Magic for the second time in 2 games this season. I hate that team. I hate losing to that team. I feel like that's a team we need to beat. But it's a recurring issue that we've been talking about lately. By the way, I did not do an episode for the Memphis game. Boring game. But, it was kind of the same thing. There's no offense right now, and the offense just needs help. Those lineups that we're getting right now at the top of the second quarter, top of the fourth quarter, like the lineups with the second unit, Malachi, Grimes, Hart, OG, and Precious. I think that's what we saw in the second quarter there with Deuce, because he was running with the starters. Brutal. It's like, where are you getting offense from when Brunson's out of the lineup? Because Deuce is with the first unit, and those other 4 guys are just not creators. And it just totally destroys the spacing, which we'll talk about. Like you could see, despite Deuce McBride had a good game, and he continues to play well, but you can see the Knicks are just trying to find offense from anywhere, and they tried running offense through a number of guys today. Deuce is playing great. He's you got to give the kid credit, and he's playing his way into the rotation, even if the Knicks do make this trade. But his best role is still that off-ball wing role, right? He is somebody who, I heard this on a podcast, and I'm going to steal it, KFS, in their post-game show. He's somebody that benefits from creation and not vice versa, right? And unfortunately, he's forced into this role where he's got to be the creator. But Deuce McBride, he's not a creator. He's not somebody who's going to initiate the offense and get the Knicks into their sets. We mentioned that he had a rough time doing this against Dallas, right? The loss against Dallas. He was just way too slow getting the Knicks into their sets. And today, I think it was early in the third quarter, you heard Thibodeau barking at him for being too slow to get the Knicks into sets. He's not a point guard. He's not a guy who does much off the dribble, like attack closeouts or get into the paint, or make kickouts off pick and roll driving kick. Like, doesn't play with gravity like that. And he makes some unnecessary passes, low IQ passes that lead to turnovers. It's been a tough watch there. He's great off the ball, but very sparingly will Deuce McBride attack on the ball. Only when the matchup advantage is already there, or if he's in space on the weak side or something. So I would love him to play the way he's playing, but he still needs somebody next to him to be that initiator. Because you can't just play like initiator by committee. You had OG on Anunoby. They tried running offense through him. They ran OG in a number of pick and rolls today. He did fine, but it just looked very unorthodox and unsmooth, and Josh Hart, they had him running some half court. I mean, listen, I hate to keep touching on this because we do it every friggin' night, it feels like, but every time this topic is a problem in a game, we're going to talk about it. And the Josh Hart minutes are getting a little bit brutal. We are sitting here on January 15th. So we're halfway through the season. Halfway through the season. The Knicks are 40 games in. The Hart minutes, like the spacing is awful when you have Hart and Randall sharing the floor together, because both of those guys, first of all, both of them are top 3 minute earners. They both are up there. but at the same time, they're also bottom three-point shooters on the team. That's a terrible combination. And to play them together, like I'm just getting concerned that, like, the reason Josh Hart's minutes felt so incredible last year was because he was shooting an unsustainable, 60% from three. And again, that's obviously unsustainable. He's going back to his career norm from three this year, and you're seeing the results, right? He's a backup two guard who can't shoot, right? He's not scoring the same. He's passing up 3-point looks. Not to mention the defense isn't the same. Maybe it's going to get better now that he's defending smaller wings and twos. But he's just totally out of control when he's running the offense. Like, some of the shots he takes, it's late in the shot clock off broken plays, but those broken plays are because the Knicks are running offense through Hart and through other guys who aren't initiators. Like, I just feel like Josh Hart shouldn't be prioritized over some of the other wings on this roster. Like, Quentin Grimes and Dante DiVincenzo are at this point consistently playing better than Josh Hart, but they're also consistently getting less minutes. And I don't want to kill Tom Thibodeau, but the wing substitution patterns at wing have been brutal all season. Today, Tom Thibodeau took Dante DiVincenzo out when he had it going a little bit in the third quarter, and he puts in Josh Hart. Dante comes out with about 5 minutes left in the third, and he doesn't come back into the game until less than 6 minutes left. I don't know what that was about. It's a continuous pattern. You know, Dante finished the game with just 24 minutes, despite being one of the more impactful Knicks without Brunson today. Hart was probably the worst Knick on the floor, and he plays outside Randall, and he plays the same amount of minutes that Dante did. Why is the worst shooter playing the same minutes as the best shooter, practically? You know, it's just like when Dante comes out of the game, I don't know that Hart should be the one coming in. I think it should be Quentin Grimes coming into the game, who only got 14 minutes, by the way. Get the shooters out there first. I just feel like it's a little counterproductive to surround OG Anunoby, the guy you brought in here, with less spacing. OG's role is to provide spacing. He spaces out the half court in the corners. He's an excellent corner shooter. The defense has to respect that. You throw Hart next to him. He's one pass away from OG. Well, now what? You know, I think that, like, Tibbs should also consider running Randall at small ball 5 a little more rather than overuse Josh Hart. Maybe less is more. Maybe that's one of those situations where the less Josh Hart minutes you get, the better Josh Hart. Let's try that one more time. Maybe the less Josh Hart minutes that you get, the better quality Josh Hart's minutes will be. It's just, yeah. It's the spacing. It's too poor. Like, the defense does not respect them. The defender sags off and they slide over to the action to help. It's a continuous pattern. You know, I do wonder if, like, Leon Rose is kind of regretting the decision to extend him. You know, I know Hart is a Nova Knick and he's CAA, all that. That's how they build this roster, basically. If you're not one or the other, you're not probably not on the team. But, like, so, yeah, you can't move him that way because they just extended him. You got to wait until the summer. But I'm ready to move on from him, man. I think a more potent guard could be in that spot, and it's just providing zero offense. And when you don't have Brunson on the floor and you're seeing Randall play this way, that's another issue. You know, the defense just focuses in on Randall. He's not the same player. He's not even close to being the same player when Brunson's not on the floor. He's not even an all-star player. And that's not normal. You know, like we're talking about Randall. He's the number 2 player on the team. The number 2 option is supposed to be capable when the number 1 option can't go. Randall's far from capable without Jalen Brunson. And I'm not just talking about these 2 games. Like, this has been a thing. This has been a thing under the Julius tenure. You know, Randall's career without Brunson as a Knick, he's an awful 100 and 120. Randall's career without Brunson since Brunson's become a Knick, just 7 and 6. It's not good. And the way he plays is like when he doesn't get his switches, it's really difficult for Julius Randle to dominate. You know, and earlier in this game, he wasn't getting switches because the defense is just not respecting his 3-point ball, and they kept going under pick and roll. He's forced to go one-on-one against guys who can defend him like Paolo Banchero, right? Paolo's one of the few bigger wings in the NBA who has the size and strength to defend Randle. We often talk about how Randle is a mismatch in this day and age because not many guys at power forward can match up with that mass. Paolo's one of them, right? He's got to go one-on-one with Paolo Banchero. Now you're relying on Randle to create tough shots and knock down difficult shots, which is not the thing you want to depend on. You know, Randle going one-on-one in the low post or reckless drives trying to initiate contact. And it just makes me very concerned overall, you know, because I worry about Brunson. He's a very small dude. He plays physical ball. He plays in the paint. He's sacrificing his body every night on both ends. And he's not a 70 games per year guy, right? And I don't say that as if, like, I'm not saying he's going to play 80. No. When I say he's not a 70 games per year guy, last season he played only 68. In the 5 seasons heading into this year, he's only played 70 or more twice. So he's not going to play a ton of games. What happens when Brunson doesn't play? I mean, you're going to see this more until they do something about it. And it's problematic. You know, the Eastern Conference is tough as nails. Tough as nails. 4 to 8, those seeds are changing every single day right now. Literally 1 to 2 games change everything. So the whole it's just one game excuse cannot be used. Oh, let him sit today, let him rest the calf. No, you need him. If he's good to go, he's got to play. And I get concerned because Brunson's a tough dude who's going to play if he can. And Tibbs is going to play you if you can. So I wonder how serious it is. But they look bad without him. Even against Memphis, they played the G League Grizzlies and they only scored 106 points. You know, today they scored 94 points. That's bad. Even like 10 years ago, that's not good. You know, like this is why a trade's important, fellas. Like if the Knicks want to make, you know, this Eastern Conference Finals run that people think they can get to, this cannot be the recipe. Knicks fans think they can just ride with Deuce McBride the rest of the way. Like, I heard someone on a podcast, I'm not going to say what podcast or who, but they said Tyus Jones. They said, why should we get Tyus Jones when we've got Deuce McBride? I'm just sitting here. What the fuck are we doing? Are we that delusional? Like, I would love, I'm not even, again, it's not Deuce. I would love for Deuce to still be in this rotation down the line, even if the Knicks do make that trade for a combo guard to come in here and play off the bench. But I still think he needs to be a guy next to the point guard. He needs to be playing next to that point guard we get because he's not that. That's not his role. I don't think it's sustainable to just rely on Deuce McBride to be your offensive weapon off the bench because we've seen him go through stretches like this before, you know. He's just, I don't even trust this to be consistent. I don't know that he's going to keep scoring 15 points per game for you. And if he does, great. But he's not an initiator. You still need someone to set up the offense and quarterback things. And you lost that in quickly. So now you got to find that. In the meantime, I think like we've talked about this. Running Dante DiVincenzo with the second unit more is probably the best idea. You know, he ran some offense a little bit today. He looked good doing so. Can run the high pick and roll. He, can run the 2-man game on the empty side. And, playing with Golden State, he was maybe more of an on-ball player. So he's a little bit reckless. He's not the greatest penetrator or finisher when he gets to the rim. He's more of a tertiary creator. But like where the Knicks are right now, he's probably your best bet to run point guard off the bench. It's hard to stagger that though, right? Then you got to get into certain minutes. Malcolm Brogdon can't come soon enough. Tyus Jones can't come soon enough. Even DeJounte Murray, if we got it. People talking about Terry Rozier, sure. Fuck it. But I don't think this is a tenable formula. And they still need a backup big, right? Like it's right now it's either Isaiah Hartenstein for 40 minutes, which is unsustainable, or it's like tonight where iHeart's going to play 28 minutes because he gets into foul trouble, and then you got to rely on Precious Achiuwa, who's just been terrible, to play the other 20 minutes. This means you need to get it big. Again, until you make that move, you're kind of stuck here. I'm ready to see Jericho again. He never really got a chance to play with the bench because remember he was the initial starter over iHeart when Mitch went down. Then Jericho went down with, what was it, the ankle sprain? And then things changed. And he kind of brings the same things that Precious does. Precious gives you the ability to switch. That's one good thing. Tibbs is allowed to go to those OG Randall Precious Chua minutes together and switch everything on pick and roll. So you got to give him credit for that. Elsewhere, it's like, I don't know what you're getting from the guy. It's been pretty brutal from Precious Achiuwa. And it's like, well, there's a reason he's on his third team while still being on his rookie deal, possibly about to be on his fourth team, if he's in a deal. I'm going to keep it short, man. I think that's all I have to add. Like, it was a bad loss. It was a boring game. I like good defense, but I hate terribly low scoring games. Like games in the low 90s. I can't do that. And maybe it was just like watching without Brunson kind of just takes the jolt out of it for me. So we'll keep this one short. That's why we didn't do the Grizzlies recap, because no Brunson, no fun. These games haven't been fun to watch. Game balls, sure. I'll give Deuce McBride the game ball.
Bing bang.
Deuce was good. 20 points today. Shot 47%. 40% of his threes he knocked down. He was a +3. He continues to shoot the ball. He continues to play great defense. His screen navigation is excellent, the way he can get around screens and defend the point of attack. And he's playing great offensive basketball. Just needs somebody next to him. Hopefully this is something we see going forward. So good job by Deuce McBride. He gets the game ball amongst the starters, and he now has 4 game balls on the season. Good for Miles McBride. And amongst the reserves, I'm going to Quentin Grimes. Continues to play good ball. He was 8 points today. 3 out of 4 from 3 and 3 out of 4 from the field. 2 out of 3 from 3. Played good defense. Not much to add. He was good. Just wish he played more than 14 minutes. But that's what Tom Thibodeau does. So, with that said, we'll wrap this up when we return from break. Stay with us.
We appreciate you sticking around and listening so far. When you have a chance, be sure to open YouTube to subscribe, like, and comment. And if you're already watching on YouTube, be sure to head over to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review. We appreciate your feedback and are always looking to improve. Now, with that all said, let's get you back to the show. You can also find us on social media. If you'd like, you can follow BD4 on Facebook, and we're at BD4Pod on both Instagram and Twitter. We appreciate you helping us grow more and more every day. Let's get back to it. If you have time in the day or maybe just prefer old-fashioned reading over listening, then you can always follow along and subscribe to BD4 Blog by going to BD4blog.com. We're not on there as often, but when we do post, it's just as entertaining, opinionated, and passionate as we are on this podcast. Thank you so much. And let's keep on with the show.
Studio 69 Productions is a podcast production agency created by Leo Rodriguez to allow content creators to market their podcast. It's an online platform that will market your podcast or any other project that you're working on. Get in touch with Leo Rodriguez from Studio 69 Productions. You can find Studio 69 Productions on Instagram at Studio69NJ. Studio 69 Productions, where dreams are heard and born. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You are listening to episode 610 of BD4. Very, very, very short episode in this one. I just don't have the energy to talk about the Knicks when Brunson doesn't play. Just boring as fuck, as the results show you. And they got to get it together ASAP. They're losing ground very rapidly here in the Eastern Conference with, again, 4-8 being as it is. Just it changes every day. The Knicks, as we speak, are currently not a playoff team. So it's like we keep talking Eastern Conference Finals. Well, let's fucking focus on getting into the playoffs first, because the very last thing I want is for this season to come down to a 2-game series. So hopefully Brunson's okay. I have a ton of concern that he's not good, but we'll see. We have Houston next. That's at the Garden. It is on Wednesday night at the Garden against the Houston Rockets, who I think lost today to the Sixers. Brunson will have to play that game. I can't watch this team without Jalen Brunson for much longer than I've been. So we'll see. With that said, let's wrap it up with our trivia, because I'm tired. So for this episode, true or false, the Knicks have both the most wins and best win percentage on MLK Day. Is that true or false? The Knicks have both the most wins and best win percentage of all time on MLK Day. So let me know the answer wherever you can reach me. If you get the answer correct, I'll give you a shout out on the next show in front of all 2 of our listeners. I do appreciate the bunch of people who subscribed overnight on YouTube a couple of weeks ago. That was awesome. But that's it for this show. 610's in the books. Quick, 29, 30-minute episode. Boring game. Boring time right now for the Knicks. They need Brunson to get healthy, and they need to start playing better basketball, because things are not looking up right now. So let's see. Houston is up next. So, win. This episode was brought to you by Anchor.
Hey there! If you stayed the entire way through, we thank you immensely for it. We hope you enjoyed this podcast and that you come back for the next episode real soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, download these episodes, and share them with your friends as well. BD4 is a 5-star podcast simply because of you. And we'd like to keep it that way. Have a wonderful day. Go Yankees and go Knicks.